Welcome to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music, where we explore what the Bible has to say about music and worship in the church, and encourage those who plan, lead, and participate in their Sunday gatherings each week. Hey, my name is David Zimmer. Welcome to the Sound Plus Doctrine podcast.
My name is Bob Coughlin. You didn't let me say that.
It was the follow-up.
David, I feel like something's changed in our relationship.
I know. What hasn't changed is my Sovereign Grace Music t-shirt. If you were with us in our previous episode, I talked about this very soft, awesomely designed Sovereign Grace Music t-shirt that is not available for public distribution.
No, you can't have it.
You can't have it. You can see it if you watch us on YouTube, which our podcast is on YouTube.
It is on YouTube.
If you just listen online on Spotify or Apple Music. So there's that. But
helpful.
It's not helpful for you, but it's a great shirt. And I just want to show it off.
And I hope to get one someday
I believe in the brand. We might be able to get you one someday.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, this is part 2 of the role of the drummer in corporate worship. And I want to start with a story.
Wonderful.
I was at a church one time speaking, and they had a morning services, a night service, 2 morning, 1 night. It was a long day. It was at the end of like a 10-day thing in another country. And so anyway, I'm there, and they began the meeting with the kick drum,
Yes.
4 on the floor, drummer, just boom, 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 and got everybody, yeah. And then they went into the song eventually. And I said, we had lunch in between that meeting, those 2 meetings, and the evening meeting. I said, I'm not sure that's the best way to start the meeting. I think, we want to be responding to, God's truth, God's word. I mean, it's just kind of like a percussive thing. And it's like it wasn't related to anything. So, I shared my heart. And then that evening, we start the meeting again. And sure enough, go. So they really received what I had to say.
Same song, different song.
Same song. Yeah.
Same song.
Yeah, it was the same meeting. They had 3, identical meetings.
My goodness.
And they kept them identical.
So good.
So anyway, we're trying to help drummers,
Yes. Uh-huh.
leaders, worship leaders, pastors, just better understand how drums work in the gathering. Mm-hmm. And we shared last time just a little bit of a scriptural basis for that, and talked about just the heart behind the drummer.
Yeah.
So this time, we're going to focus more on practical things. Like, so, if a guy has a good heart, but they earn a good drummer, it's like, okay. I mean, that can happen. Mm-hmm. Where we had a guy in our church years ago who was an okay drummer, mm-hmm. and his name was Neil, and he said to us, listen, I'm going to buy a set of drums, and I will play for the church, but as soon as someone comes along who's better than I am, I will be happy to step aside and let the church have the set of drums. It was just one of the most beautiful examples of just servant-heartedness.
That's awesome.
I'm going to use what gifts I have to serve
awesome.
the church. But the standard for musicians isn't, hey, just do what can get you by.
Yeah.
We really want to be good. So I was going to ask you to wax lyrical on what you would say to someone who wants to be a drummer, be a good drummer, be a better drummer.
Yes. Well, and I love that you mentioned that we're not trying to find, the high standard professionals. It has to be this way every time.
Well, church is made up mostly of volunteers.
Right. But at the same time, we don't want to just go, it's okay.
I'm a volunteer.
Yeah.
I can play crummy.
Yeah, we want to give practical tips and helpful ways to grow. And I actually want to briefly share a story. So at the Worship God conferences that Sovereign Grace Music has been putting on for
long time.
Yeah,
2006.
Long time. When we got to know each other, Bob, I started, doing clinics and intensives at the conferences, where I would just meet in a room with drummers for like 3 hours, and we would work on stuff. And And so, yeah, master classes at these conferences. Well, I met a guy who's going to hate that I mentioned his name, but his name is Kurt, and he's from Lakeview Christian Center in New Orleans, but he'd say Nolans.
Nolans, yeah.
He came to one of these breakout intensives where I was teaching and said, I've been a guitar player at my church forever, and he's a great guitar player. And he said, but, we lost all 3 of our drummers.
Wow.
And I want to learn the drums.
Wow.
Like I want to step in and play the drums in our church. And so we did the clinic. And at the end, I tell people my email, hey, if I teach lessons, I was teaching lessons at the time, full time. Hey, if you want to take lessons with me over FaceTime or Zoom, you can do that. And so he signed up for lessons. And just his heart to invest in his church.
That's so amazing.
To invest into being a better drummer, to serve his church. He took lessons with me for, I think, 5 years.
Wow.
Just that month-to-month financial investment, like just to get better, to serve his church because they didn't have drummers. And now he's equipping drummers and also playing guitar. And so I share that story just because I think it shows off Kurt's heart and just the even Neil, who you explained. I want to serve this context.
Yep.
That's so counter, I feel like, culture of I want to be a rock star.
Yeah.
But also just he made the connection. Well, if I'm going to get better at it, I got to put an investment in. I got to put time in. So he took lessons. And so I just wanted to share a couple really practical things for drummers that are listening to this podcast. Take lessons and start with books like Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone, and start with books like Around the Drums with Triplets from Frank Capozzoli.
It sounds kind of cute. Around the Drums with Triplets.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the tone of the book? Or
the book is, it is. It's very helpful, and I've never put that together, but I appreciate that you did.
I imagine a guy with triplets walking around his drums. And I thought, that could be exciting.
That's a great book. Linear drumming, future sounds. Those are just, hey, let's build our repertoire. Go get some of these books, start going through them. Start working through them, even on your own, and then I would move into lessons.
Wow.
So I want to push drummers there first.
That's great.
I would take lessons, invest to get better, to serve, yeah.
And so what kinds of things is it most important for a drummer to be aware of? There are just so many ways we could go, but you have someone sit in front of you and say, okay, tell me what I need to be thinking about, what I need to be really good at, try to be really good at in terms of my drumming.
Yes.
Maybe how I could grow.
Right. So I would be practicing to a click. I think a metronome. I think if you get into lessons, that's immediately what you're going to start doing. Working on your technique, your rudiments, and then playing.
So you're saying time is important.
Exactly. It's pretty much all you're supposed to be doing.
Not my expressiveness. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think even on your own, you should be practicing with a metronome. I would love for you guys that are song leaders, worship leaders in your church that are picking songs, do a band practice with a metronome. If that's a new idea for you, I would definitely do that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that for your meeting, I understand that, but at least in your practices, if you're able to, get into a metronome. And then so much of...
Can we take a brief detour here and just talk about the click?
Yeah.
Because people ask me about this. What are your thoughts, and I'll give you my thoughts, on using a click for a Sunday gathering? Is it necessary?
I don't think it's you have to.
It's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
That was a trick question.
But it's helpful.
Yeah. And how can it be helpful?
I think it's helpful because for multiple reasons. One, transitions from one tempo, one feel to another feel.
Song to song, yeah.
It's sometimes really hard to get those right. I have a friend who leads worship, and he shared this story with me one time that he was new to a church coming into the band, and the first song goes, and it's kind of that 4 on the floor, do ga do ga ga. Second song they play, he starts it and it's mid tempo, it's not fast, and the drummer comes in with do, ga, ga, da, do. And it's a little bit quicker, but it's manageable. So you're sort of like, like a horse, you're holding on for dear life, And then they get to Power of the Cross and they do verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2. They get into the second chorus. This the power, God, of the cross, Christ we gave, and you just got to hold on for dear life at that moment. So transitions. I know that this ballad, this quieter, softer song is this tempo. That's helpful.
Yeah.
And then just not dragging, not rushing.
Because tempo can affect the faith with which a congregation sings a song.
Yes.
Someone said to me recently, the tempo should be about where you'd speak it, which is mostly true, not always, because one of the benefits of singing is that it allows you to extend words so that you can think on them, meditate on them, more deeply. So that's true most of the time. But if you sing a song too slow, people aren't benefiting from the combination of music, of melody and words.
Yes.
It's just, it drags and
we've all experienced that.
So. And then if it's too fast, people don't have time to process what they're singing, which takes away the reason they're singing, which is to enable the word of Christ to dwell in them richly. So if they're just barely able to get all the words out, it's not going to be effective. So tempo does affect just even the impact of a song on a congregation.
Yes.
Now, you can have a good sense of tempo, but a click helps alleviate some of that question mark. And if you do use a click, you can always cut it off.
Yep.
I mean, we
do that a lot every Sunday.
Yeah, I was thinking this past Sunday, I was playing with Zach, my son-in-law, and we were doing a song which I just love, "The King in All His Beauty." It's off our Glorious Christ album. And he started to click, and as soon as it started, I just started playing slower. And we were 2 bars in, and he just cut it off because he knew if I'm playing that slow, I don't want the click.
Yes.
And we didn't need it. Give us time to ebb and flow with the song. So I just want to have a little sidebar on clicks.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great.
And then don't have one person hear the click. Everybody's got to hear the click.
Yeah, good.
It can't be, groups, bands where the drummer has the click in his ears and no one else does. It's like, okay, he's trying to stay with the click and the band's trying to kind of do their own thing. Everybody needs the click.
Yep.
So,
and that's really
obviously
good.
This is with just in-ear monitors, not wedges.
Yes, not with wedges. Yeah, that's good. And I think, and I think even, say your church doesn't do in-ear monitors. You're using wedges Sunday in, Sunday out. You can pipe a click through a wedge for a practice.
Oh, that's good.
I just think like that's one way that you can, that would be helpful to your congregation.
Okay, so that's time.
Yes, that was time. I want to talk about drum volume dynamics.
You definitely should talk about drum volume and dynamics.
Because I think I want to encourage, drummers again that are listening. It isn't that you need loud drums for fast songs, quiet drums for quiet songs.
Good.
I think songs can build. Give it somewhere to go.
They're telling a story. It's part of a progression.
Yes. Even songs that are louder, more up tempo, like take us somewhere.
Yes.
That's such a, like you said, telling a story. If you give everything from the beginning, you have nowhere to go and build, and eventually it just turns into just noise. This is the time it's supposed to get loud, and we're loud.
Well, I know I've played with drummers where. It's an on and off, and like they get a beat and it's or and like there's nothing in between, and you can't grow. There's no sense of anticipation. So that idea of dynamics being fluid and on a continuum
for sure.
How do you develop that?
Oh man, I mean, even the books I mentioned earlier are all like accents and non-accents. They're all dealing with like. These are the notes you accent and these are the notes you don't accent. And, so much of that comes from like funk drumming. What makes funk, it's weird.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
I know. What makes funk drumming so exciting and engaging are our accents and non-accents. And so my point in saying that is there should be one moment in the song that is the loudest moment. You should know exactly where that is. And if everything's loud, there's no
impact.
There's no impact.
Yeah. It's all the same.
So having the discipline and self-restraint to only bring that impact once will have a greater impact than everything super quiet or everything super loud.
Yeah.
So again, the way you do that is how you play with dynamics. You know, I can build excitement and intensity on a floor tom. It doesn't have to be a crash cymbal. Like that, you know, worship leaders, you could just print that on a t-shirt and hand it to your drummer. Just like, I don't have to hit the crash cymbal. You know, and so much of when you listen to music, I mean, most genres are staying away from cymbals.
Yeah.
You know,
even though the Bible talks a lot
even
about
though the
symbols.
Bible's talking about it.
Okay, so maybe there's a problem there.
My point is, find intensity in other places.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's just one small practical way of doing that. But
I just want to stay on this topic of volume for a while, for a minute. It's helpful even to think of like sections of a song where, you know, the verse, it's really down.
Yes.
Or maybe you're just playing a lot less, because that's a way to control volume as well.
Exactly.
Kick.
Kick. Sounds and silences.
It's just like, okay, it feels softer because you're not doing all this stuff up top. And you can make such a you can help the congregation. You can help people recognize, oh, this is the part where I'm just to pour out my soul in this section of the song, because the drums are supporting that.
Yes.
And it's just so helpful when a drummer plays on that continuum.
Yeah.
Or treats different sections differently.
Yep. And then I mean, I think that's it. I think it's being able to be sensitive. And where are the lyrics actually also taking this song?
Which is what you do so well. You think, what are we saying here? What are we saying here? How can what I do support that?
Yes. Right. What are we saying, and how are we supporting that? Because that's really, it's subtle. As a drummer, you have that ability to be subtle, but it's really impactful.
Are you sure? Say that again. I think some people in our listening audience might need to hear that again.
You can be subtle as a drummer, and you can have impact in even moments where you stop playing.
Yes.
Can bring out lyrics.
Yeah.
That's moments that building anticipation in the lyric. You can build anticipation in the drumming. So that's more practical thinking, how those relate to lyrics. I think, just if I can speak to worship leaders that have a loud drummer or drummers that are listening, I think there are even a couple things that help. You know, I use hand-hammered dark cymbals. That makes such an impact. It's a frequency range that people struggle with more than a decibel range, which is weird to think about.
No,
because an organ can be as loud as a drum kit.
Yep.
But we perceive things in frequencies. Dark hand-hammered cymbals, toms tuned lower. Those they're boomy and dark, if we can use those terms, but they're not pingy and bright and loud. And then I like really dark snares. There's a company called Big Fat Snare Drum that makes a cover that you just place on top of your snare drum.
That's the name of the company?
Big Fat Snare Drum. And it just takes the ping, takes that frequency ring out of the drums that are just, that's just gnawing at people.
Okay.
So those are just quick practical tips for a couple things you can do on something. Gaff tape is your friend. It can take away some of those frequencies. So I'd be aware of that.
So what if you're in a church and you just have a crummy set of drums and you don't have money to get your own set, but they have this, set's 10 years old and, what would you say to a person? Like, how do you do that?
Quickly and practically, if you have bright, pingy cymbals that you can't deal with, you can take a big piece of gaff tape and you can put it on the bottom of the cymbal. That's going to eat some of the frequency. You can take those toms and you can loosen the lug nuts as low as they go and then just barely put them up till there's an audible tone. Your drums will be tuned at a lower range. that will help. That'll go a long way.
That's great. Yeah, and do you tune your drums?
I do, yeah.
I assume you do.
I do, yeah. Yeah.
Any recommendations there?
That
Any place they could go to find out
YouTube.
about that?
I mean,
Okay.
YouTube has so many resources,
Good.
but it takes years to figure out how to do that quickly.
Yes.
Uh,
And there are different philosophies on it.
yep.
For sure. But it is better when you give some thought to it than when you just come in and just play the drums as they are and just assume, that's the best they can be.
Right. Right. Exactly. Like that'd be like picking up a guitar and just going, it's in tune.
Yeah. It was in tune when I bought it.
Yeah.
What?
You don't have to be that exact in your tuning, but at least something that's going to take some of those higher frequencies. Think in terms of frequencies, and then think in terms of dynamic and volume. And, I'm not afraid of lightning rods, sticks that are made out of, that are not, I'm not afraid of those. I'm not afraid of brushes.
Good.
I played those in jazz. I'm not afraid of mallets. You want to have a dynamic Sunday, turn your snare off, play with mallets. Like change it up. I think there's so many resources and opportunities to be dynamic and subtle as a drummer.
Okay, so you're in a church and you're the drummer and someone comes up after you. Maybe a few people have come up to you and said, the drum's too loud. Drum's too loud.
I don't know what I would say because I've never heard that ever.
Oh, really, David?
In 15 years, I've never heard someone say those words to
I
me.
think I've said that to you a few times, as well as our sound people have.
I have said that to myself. Am I too loud?
Yeah, it's true. So what are the options?
Oh man. So that will always, that's hard.
I'll tell you what's not an option is for the drummer to say, you know what, I'm just passionate. It's just the way I play.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, maybe you just need to get another drummer.
Maybe
That's
just
what they
getting
should
a
not
new set of
say.
ears. It's, you're thinking about the congregation first. You're laying your life down for the people that are in front of you.
Because this
And
is
for the other
Jesus'
musicians.
church.
Exactly.
It's not ours.
It's Jesus'
It's
church.
his people. He
Yep.
died for them. He rose for them.
Yep.
And we're here to serve them.
Yep. Yep. If a soundman tells you to play choir, if a congregant tells you to play choir, it's challenging because I would want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'd want to have a conversation with that person of what was it exactly that you felt, was it a frequency range? I can explain that to them. I can talk through that with them. But then also as a drummer, you want to have the humility to say, now I could be too loud.
Possibly.
I mean, we meet sometimes in a building that's just made of brick. Mm-hmm. And have a drum set in there and the drum set's mic'd. When someone says, it's pretty loud, I'm thinking, we're in a brick box. It's probably too loud. And so I would encourage you guys or girls to take the position of saying, yeah, I want to be humble and consider that. And
So
I wanna
what
be
can they
dynamic.
do? This is the practical section.
You can
what are some
play.
options?
You can again pick your moments of where you want to be intense. Like pick your moments where you want to be dynamic. You can play with mallets. You can play with brushes. I think there's ways to change it up. Lighter sticks.
Good.
But so much of it is how are you practicing playing quiet?
Yeah.
Work on that. Practice
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
That's that, and I like the pick your spots.
Pick your moments.
A well placed kick or snare, or even a crash, well placed can really resound. But then you back away from that and let the voice of the congregation emerge. And
Exactly.
It's just really amazing.
Exactly.
How about cages and shields?
Yeah.
We experimented with some of those recently.
Yeah.
The circular shields.
Yeah. Yeah. There's drum baffles now that are just circular plexiglass. And I love those because they're eating up the snare and crash cymbal frequencies, from the audience, but they're not encompassing where I feel like I'm in a fishbowl, or I'm at a zoo. It's like, it's really hard to interact with musicians. Because
don't feed him anything.
Because you know what? It's like not only am I serving the congregation, but I'm communicating with the bass player. I'm communicating with the leader. I'm communicating with the guitar player. I'm making eye contact with them.
And there is something that statement about, the band is part of the congregation.
Yes.
We're not a separate entity.
Right.
We are all part of the congregation.
Right. So I would highly encourage, sometimes drum shields work against you. If they're not completely encased, I'm talking like a room.
Yeah.
then you're getting bounce back from the back of the wall and the shield. You're actually doubling your volume. So it's like it's not always the best scenario.
And what about electronic drums?
Electronic
I don't see them
drums,
very often, but
yeah.
just recently I was in a place where they were using them.
So I want to be sensitive to people that are at a church and they have electronic drums and they wish they could play acoustic drums, but they can't, budget-wise or...
Yeah.
I just would encourage people, I don't think sound should be the main problem. I would encourage you to have acoustic drums.
You mean the main reason that you don't use them?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I wouldn't say it should be sound.
Because you can adjust that.
You can. You can be dynamic. You can be more dynamic on real drums.
Yeah.
You know? I would encourage drummers to try acoustic drums, even starting with a cajon or starting with a kick.
That's good, yeah.
And a snare drum.
And do people play djembe anymore?
Yeah.
Really,
you can be so dynamic on a djembe and shakers. And so the acoustic drum, I mean, it's so hard. You can't be subtle and dynamic on an electric drum set.
They've come a long way, but still
it's just impossible. Yeah. And just one, I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to share, one more practical thing for worship leaders. If you're communicating with your drummer and you feel like you're kind of wrestling, with these things that we've been talking about, dynamic, volume, timing, I would encourage you to listen to music together. I would encourage you to get outside of your Sunday practice or Wednesday group practice and listen to music together, communicate with one another, and then, I always talk to worship leaders that are talking about, how do I talk to my drummer? What language do I use?
Yes.
It's like, as a song leader, get to know the drums, like get to know that that's a hi-hat and that's a kick drum and that's a floor tom and a crash cymbal. That will make
rather than just do something else on those things like that.
Exactly. And then the last thing I'm going to say is just putting the feel. Do you know what I'm talking about by feel? Different feels. So you have a 6/8.
I do.
Yes. And for you guys that are listening that don't know what I'm talking about, there's a 6/8 feel. Maybe it's on the toms. There's we call it. Yes, we call it 4 on the floor, which would be the kick drums on all 4 beats. I love that you're demonstrating. Perfect.
I've never done beatboxing, but I probably could.
Yeah, it's always awkward watching someone beatbox in front of you.
Especially when they're doing it poorly.
But put those things, give your drummer a genre and make it clear. I want it to sound like this. That is so much more helpful than you just do something different. Pick a song in a that's a ballad that I like this feel. Yeah. A lot of songs are in 6/8. A lot of modern hymns are in 3/4, 6/8. Pick a song that goes, I love this feel. Yeah. Can we try something like this?
That's good.
Pick a song that has that 4 on the floor feel that's energetic, and you go, can we try something like this? That's just going to be so much more helpful than no, that's not that. I don't want that.
Are you telling this to me right now?
I feel like I am. I feel like we should shut this mic off and really talk about it.
Before we close this out, I had a couple thoughts about just as a leader.
Yes.
I do not play drums. And I don't do what you just said. I don't stay that current, with everything that's going. I mean,
so I feel like this is for
you.
you.
It is.
That's great.
I may know a song from the 80s or the 70s. Yeah. Do you know that Carole King song?
That's not true. You're way more updated than that.
Well, I feel like that sometimes. But what I was going to say was I played with drummers who aren't so good. And you might have a drummer in your church that's not so good. Usually it's at a conference. Sometimes it's in my church. Now, if it's in my church, I just see if there are other drummers who can play better.
Yes.
But if they're in my church, when we started this church plant 9 years ago, Sovereign Grace Church Louisville, we had a drummer, a guy who hadn't played in 10, 15 years. So we just got him on the drums, got him a drum kit. And what I seek to do when I'm playing with the drummers not very good is rather than make them do something, I play the song and say, what would you play? And then work with that. because it's better for a drummer to feel. I want a drummer to feel comfortable and confident than to try to play something
Exactly
like I want it.
Yeah.
So I just think in terms of how you work with your drummer,
that's good.
a lot of times I'll say, just play what you feel. Play what you think. Play what you hear. And I got a pretty wide range with what's acceptable because again, we're just trying to hold everything together and enable the congregation to sing.
Yeah.
But if it's definitely not something, if they're doing 4 on the floor and I just want to
Yeah.
then I can tell them that.
Yeah.
Less kick, maybe snare on 2 and 4, or just maybe on 4, and that I'll give more direction. But I think it's helpful, especially for drummers, because they are driving the bus.
Yeah.
To do what they feel confident doing.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
then of course, if they need to grow, then they can do that outside the Sunday morning context.
That's so great. Yeah.
So that's what I want to share.
That's awesome.
Well, I hope
Thanks,
this is
Bob.
helpful.
Yeah.
We hope this is helpful to everyone. David, thanks for sharing your thoughts on all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can do like a 5-part series for keyboardists sometime. I think that would be excellent.
You would need 5.
Yeah, at least 3 to talk about the heart. All right. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll come back and listen and watch us again.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Sound Plus Doctrine, the podcast of Sovereign Grace Music. Sovereign Grace Music exists to produce Christ-exalting songs and training for local churches from local churches. For more information, free sheet music, translations, and training resources, you can visit us at sovereigngracemusic.org.